Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Start it up, let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as we get ready to take you through the prime time topics in sports, not only in just the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me here today. Not only today, but all week long. We've had a fun week up here on Centex Prime Time so far. Looking to do the same here today. Got a lot to talk about. We've got these college football playoffs rankings that they put out every Tuesday. We got to talk about that. Of course, we got to talk about a segment we didn't get a chance to get to yesterday. We had a Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott debate spark out of nowhere, but that kind of pushed us back a little bit. But we will today get to our contenders and pretenders in the NFL. We'll talk about that as well. Hour number 2, we'll have the head coach of MCC's women's basketball team will come in studio and join us, Coach Candace Thomas. So make sure you guys are staying locked in and getting ready for that. And we will talk about some of these games coming up for this weekend in the NCAA and in the NFL, as well, as both seasons are at the peak of their seasons right now, especially in college football. Only about a few weeks left to go there. As always, folks, make sure you guys go over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you're not watching with us on YouTube. Centex Sports Network on YouTube /Centex Sports TV. You can go there and check us out. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bells and get notified when we go live here 5 to 7 p.m. on weekdays. Also, you can download the app on your mobile device, Centex Sports 1 on your mobile device. Download that. You can listen to us 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays on Infinity Sports Radio, Central Texas. Well, joining us in studio today, we have Mr. Wayne Walker in studio with us as he joins us on Wednesdays here. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Central Texas? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like I said, folks, we have got to start today with talking about this college football rankings that they just recently put out. Most of it stayed the same, but now that we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the season, it's going to get tougher for them to keep some of these teams in or move teams out, because at this point, you're going to have to lose to be kicked out of your spot in the college football playoff ranking. And some of these teams probably aren't going to lose again, and some of these teams might lose a couple, which is going to shake it up and make it harder on this committee to be able to pick this. We're looking at teams like Texas, who got A&M, who's ranked number 15. They're right outside of the college football playoffs. They've got A&M in a couple of weeks. Ohio State and Indiana are playing this Saturday at 11 o'clock. Another game that got the early game that I thought should have been just a little bit later out there, especially with the stakes in this game. Both teams being almost undefeated. Ohio State 9-1 and Indiana yet to lose. Indiana sitting at number 5, and looking through the rankings, and I'm like, man, I mean, it's a decent ranking, and I understand how they put some of these teams here. But in my opinion, just to start with, I'll start with Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame needs to get forced to join somebody's conference, or we're going to have to start ranking them like we rank Boise State and some of these other teams that aren't in a Power 4 conference, because they get away with playing a cupcake schedule every year, and they get 1 or 2 losses maybe in that, and they get to be ranked high. Right now, they're 9-1, ranked number 6 in this college football playoff ranking, but their one loss is to a Northern Illinois team at home. I don't think any of these teams in the top 20 have a loss to a team like Northern Illinois. Behind them they got Miami, who's got 1 loss. They got Georgia with 2 losses. No one's played a tougher schedule than Georgia. Me and Wayne talked about that last time he was on here. Even Boise State with 1 loss. Their 1 loss is to Oregon, who's the number 1 team in the country. Notre Dame's 1 loss is to Northern Illinois. So you put a team like that at number 6. I could tell there's still so much confusion within what they're going to do with the SEC, because you got Ole Miss at 9, Georgia at 10, Tennessee at 11. They don't really know where to put these teams, how to put these teams. I see Tennessee didn't fall out after their loss to Georgia, but they're still in front of teams like SMU, who might win the ACC. They're 9-1 on the season. BYU finally picked up a loss, and they dropped all the way out of they were undefeated the whole season. They finally pick up a loss, and they dropped completely out of the rankings in college football. Now, they did lose to a Kansas team, but is Kansas a worse team than Northern Illinois? They got Notre Dame sitting at number 6. So, I'm seeing the narratives, and we always talk about that. Of course, that's how they're going to rank these teams, and a lot of it is going to be narrative-driven and who's going to bring the big money in. But right now, with some of these teams kind of jumbled up, even the Penn State team, I like Penn State. They're 9-1. But do I think Penn State is better than Georgia? Or have they played a tougher schedule than Georgia? No. They played a tougher schedule than Ole Miss. So, it's tough to put and rank these teams. A team like Penn State, whose only ranked opponent that they played was Ohio State, and they lost to them. And you look at the SMU, who's at the top of the ACC, probably going to win their conference. They're not even in it. So, it's kind of jumbled up and all over the place. Wayne, what are your thoughts about this list that came out yesterday with the rankings?
Well, for me, it lets you know what they think of the Big 12, first of all, since I'm a
sure.
Big 12 guy.
Yeah.
Old Southwest Conference guy. But it lets you know what they think about them. And to be quite frank, like you said, Notre Dame, I don't see where they belong in here. The rankings is dominated by the Big Ten, for one.
Yeah.
You got Oregon, you got Ohio State, you got Penn State, you have Indiana. Whether they win or lose this weekend, they're still going to be there. And I know we still have like 3 weeks to go, but and then we still have the conference championship game.
Yeah.
But the one thing about it is, there's some teams that's in there that don't belong. I really do believe SMU belongs there.
Oh, for sure.
I really do think BYU belongs there, even though they have one loss. I'm pulling for Colorado to get in, but and I know if it comes down to if it's Colorado and there's 3 or 4 other teams, Colorado is going to get in because they travel well. They're entertainment, and people want to see Dion, and they want to see him lose, and some people want to see him win. So they will get in if it comes down to that. But let's just see how it plays out in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be some changes. But like you said, if these teams don't lose, nobody's going out.
Yeah.
Because once it's set, it's set.
Yeah.
And Texas has a big game with Texas A&M, and depending on that game, if A&M wins, A&M will jump up, but Texas will jump out. And then you're talking about arguably the best, not arguably, but the best conference in college football, which is the SEC.
Yeah.
Sitting there having these teams, you got an Ole Miss team, you got a Georgia, you got a Tennessee, you got an Alabama, and you have a Texas, then you have a Texas A&M. All these teams are pretty much, I think, would be the team from the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
I think they would be the team from the Big 12. I think a Notre Dame, they would be a Notre Dame. But everything is predicated on wins and losses. So, and I think that's what they're doing. But right now, the committee has a lot of work to do to get the best 12, and that's their job, is to get the best 12 teams in the country in the playoffs, and that's what we want to see. And hopefully they'll do that.
Yeah, I can't see a Notre Dame being a best team, a top 12 team with the people that they've played. I can't see, like you said, it's dominated by the Big Ten right now, especially the top 5.
Right.
4 of the top 5 teams are in the Big Ten. I mean, that in my opinion, is kind of ridiculous when you think about the SEC and the Big Ten. The Big Ten's got Minnesota and Michigan State and teams that aren't Rutgers. That's not even close to competing for anything. Yeah. And then you've got teams like
Northwestern, Illinois. I mean, these teams don't belong. And said it would be much better if Colorado and Texas got in.
Yeah.
Really, it would. And I hope they do. And I hope A&M is in there as well. But I want SMU in there that I think belongs in there. The ACC is not a powder puff conference, but you have Miami, you have Clemson, and you have Pittsburgh, and all these teams have been ranked at some point during the year. And SMU is gone, flown under the radar, and I think they deserve to be in.
They beat a Louisville team that took out that Clemson team, that took out that Miami team. They beat a Pittsburgh team that was undefeated when they played SMU. So SMU has earned their spot to be in there, and to see them still put in a Boise State over them, and them to put in a Notre Dame over them. At this point, Indiana has earned their way in there because they're still undefeated. Until they lose, they've earned their way. But Penn State hasn't done anything. Their only good game they played has been against Ohio State, which they lost. Not saying that Penn State's a bad team or anything like that, but their one loss and SMU's one loss looks pretty similar. But the difference is SMU is ranked number 13, and Penn State's number 4. That's a huge gap, especially when you're talking about now.
And they only have one loss as well.
Yeah, it's just one loss.
Yeah.
And their one loss is to a BYU team who was undefeated until last Saturday. So it's not like they lost to a scrub.
They got a red-hot BYU team in the beginning of the season that was beating up on everybody. So how do you determine what loss is worse than the other?
Yeah.
Is it because of conference? If it's strength of schedule, I think SMU has played a tougher schedule than Penn State.
They have. If you exclude the Ohio State game, which they lost anyway, Penn State's schedule has been cupcake, like everybody else's in this Big Ten. That's the thing about the Big Ten is, yes, they are top-heavy. Penn State's good. Oregon's good. Indiana is good. Ohio State is good. After that, the next best team is Iowa, who's 6-4.
And I have no problem with Ohio State. Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Because Oregon has played a schedule.
They have.
They have beat up on some people.
They did.
And they deservedly so, they deserve to be number 1.
Yeah.
So I would go along with that, and they're undefeated.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
But the rest of the Big Ten, Ohio State hadn't played anyone. Michigan is not that good this year.
No.
I want to see what Indiana is going to do this week against Ohio State. That'll let us know a lot. But Penn State lost to Ohio State.
Yep.
But everybody else they played, it's been Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan State.
None of those teams are ranked.
None of those teams are ranked, and none of those teams are good either. So the committee has a lot to work to do to get the best 12 into this college playoff series that's going to take place in January.
I think it's going to have to be some major shakeups in the alignment, especially as we get closer to conference championships, because then we're going to have teams that aren't playing, because only 2 teams are going to go to the conference championship. Especially you look at a SEC, you think about it. You think about somebody in the SEC. I mean, it's tough. It's tough when you think about the SEC and thinking about all the teams that they have in there coming in. You got Missouri, who's ranked number 23. They're all the way. I mean, they're a 7-3 football team, but they're ranked right now, I think, 8th in the college football play. I mean, 8th in the SEC. They're not even going to get a shot to get into the college football playoff because of the schedule that they played. Have they played a way tougher schedule than a Penn State or Indiana? Of course. So I mean, it's really unfair, especially to the SEC, because you got to go out there and play a gauntlet schedule, and your reward is you'll get 9th in your conference. You look at a South Carolina team who's 7-3, who's played and beaten some good teams. They're ranked number 8 right now. They're ranked number 18 in the top 25, but they're not going to get anywhere near the college football playoffs because they played Ole Miss, they played Alabama, they played Texas A&M, they beat Texas A&M, they beat a Missouri team. So I mean, they played and beat some really good teams, and they're not even going to get a shot to go. And they still got to play Clemson, who's ranked at the end of the season. So, the SEC is so tough, and we talked about it before, how they're going to take each other out of this conference, and we're starting to see it in real time now, how these guys are literally going to take each other out of a chance to go to this college football playoff. Only 12 teams are going to go, and they're trying their hardest right now. They got 5 SEC teams in the rankings right now, 4 SEC teams in the rankings right now, so they're trying their hardest, but it's tough to maneuver these teams around.
And Jalen, we talk about it every week. We thought going from 4 to 12 was going to fix this.
Yeah.
It's only made it more difficult.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's only made it more difficult because you're still going to leave some teams that is deserving to be in the college football playoffs out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's a tough job on the committee. That's all I can say. You know, hopefully they'll get it right, or hopefully it'll play its way out.
Yeah, hopefully, and that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that some of these games play themselves out to make their job a little bit easier on them trying to rank these teams. Because as of right now, I mean, but you got to start with properly ranking. If Notre Dame's going to be in there, you can't legitimately have Notre Dame in front of Alabama. We don't think Notre Dame is better than Alabama. You can't have a Notre Dame ranked in front of Georgia, even though Georgia's got 2 losses. Notre Dame's got 1 loss, and it's to a team that's probably got 5 losses right now in their season in Northern Illinois. So
they dominated them pretty much.
Dominated them.
Yeah, they won the game.
At home. Yeah, they were in Notre Dame.
Yeah, they won the game. I watched that game. They won the game. It wasn't given to them.
Oh, no.
They won the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's bad. That's bad. And you got them ranked all the way at number 6 ahead of a lot of these teams. And then you look at the Miami team, which Miami, I think they're just waiting to see if they're going to lose an ACC championship or not, which I think they are going to. I think SMU is extremely underrated. I think they're a really good football team. And I think Kevin Jennings is starting to emerge as a star, their quarterback that they got that stayed home, going from South Oak Cliff. The South Oak Cliff hadn't won a championship in football in years, and they went back-to-back in high school football, winning the championship with him as a quarterback. Now he goes right across the street, comes to SMU, and he's dominating them, and they're having the best season they've had in 20 or 30 years. So he's emerging as a star.
Yeah, just proving that he has those leadership qualities to lead a team. You know, you do it 2 years in high school, and then you go over and you replicate it and do the same thing, and at SMU, and you take a program that basically needed that, and then you catapult these guys into us talking about them being in the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
SMU, looking at them, man, they skill position-wise with him as quarterback and the guys they have at receiver, they have 3 guys that I think they look like the fastest team in college football to me as far as offensive-wise.
Yeah, and they got a good running game.
Right,
Smith,
right. With the quarterback, the receivers, the running back, offensive, I think they're a juggernaut, and I think them and Colorado are 2 of the fastest teams I've seen as far as offense with guys that can break a tackle and take it all away, or a guy that can just go deep. I think they have everything. I think those 2 teams impressed me offensive.
Yeah, I agree. And what he brings to them on the offensive side of the ball is huge. And like you said, that receiving room is good. Their defense has played well enough for them to win.
Right.
And they put up points. This the same team that put up 66 on TCU. But we don't think TCU is a great team, but TCU is a Power 4 team.
Right.
And they put up 66 on them. I mean, they almost hung 70 on these guys. So this is an explosive offense that they got out there. And they put up 48 on Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh was playing great all year.
All year. And Pittsburgh was a defensive team, one of the top defensive teams in the country that they go up and they put these numbers on. So I looked at SMU the other night, and man, I just looking at it from my skill set and me being a receiver, it's one of those offenses you say, hey, I wish I could have played an offense like this, because you can get the ball and you can do great things in it, you know. So I like SMU, and I'd love to see them in that college football playoffs. I think they would make it a little bit more exciting. They're not as attractive as some of the teams that are in there because they're still building. But for me, as a football fan, I would love to see them in there. And being from Texas and just coming from the death penalty from when I was in the Southwest Conference, these guys were in death penalty just to come back up into this level and playing and being competitive now, it is a great thing for Dallas, for SMU, and for the ACC and for Texas as well.
Yeah, because that's one of those last-minute teams that got into the ACC, and I wish they could have gotten to the Big 12. I was kind of mad that the ACC ended up snatching them away, or that they felt like it was too many teams already joined the Big 12. Whatever the situation was, I wanted them to be in the Big 12. First of all, I like whenever the Big 12 has Texas teams in it because it just makes sense.
Well, I mean, and they were a part of the old regime.
Exactly.
Of the Southwest Conference, and it makes travel a little bit easier, and but you chose these teams. You chose UCF, over SMU, and I think they're regretting that decision right now.
And Cincinnati. And they haven't contributed anything. Neither one of those teams have contributed anything to the Big 12 so far. So, and you brought them in instead of a SMU.
Right. So we'll see, Jay.
Yeah, it's a couple other teams I want to ask about that are just kind of tricky. One of them being Boise State. We just talked about them. They've been keeping them on the edge. We've been seeing it since the first one came out, how they've been keeping them right on the edge. And, if somebody loses, Boise State's going to be the first one when they bump up. They've been keeping them right above SMU. They've been keeping them right above Texas A&M, who's got 2 losses. They've been keeping them right above there and just right outside of the playoffs. Now when BYU loses, they drop BYU out immediately, and they elevate Boise State, who now has that final and 12th spot in the Big 12 or in the college football playoff rankings. What do you think about this Boise State team, and how should we rank this team?
Man, this is a tough one for me. Boise State, they've been handling their business. They've been winning, and they lost to the only the top-ranked team in the nation, an undefeated team, and it was a pretty close game. It was a fair game. I wouldn't say it's a pretty close game, but it was a fair game that they were in the game.
Yeah.
So right now, that's how they're measuring Boise State. They have a Heisman Trophy candidate. And Boise State over the years has been one of the consistent programs that has year in and year out traditionally have been a winner.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, but I just don't think that they're better than a SMU right now.
No.
And a couple of more teams in
A&M.
that they have ranked. A&M. Yeah, I just don't think that they're better than those guys. And if they don't lose, which I don't see them losing,
no,
they'll be in.
Yeah,
they'll be in. The only thing that I think can knock them out is if SMU goes on and wins AC, which they get an automatic bid anyway. But then you're talking about it's going to knock a Clemson or a Miami out of there. So I'm still thinking that those teams are better than Boise State. Then if A&M goes and beats Texas, then you're talking about you're not gonna knock Texas out, but you're sure gonna add A&M. But then what do you do with Alabama, Georgia, which Alabama is gonna be in? Georgia is gonna be in, but then you leave an Ole Miss or Tennessee.
Yeah.
So man, we got a long ways to go, and I hope it plays itself out. But Boise State, a formidable team. But I just don't think that they belong. I think they're a top 15 team, but I don't think they're a top 12.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see Alabama versus Boise State in the first round. I don't think Boise State wants to see that. But that's the road they're heading to. I think only the first 4 are going to get a bye in that first one. So the 12th seed will play the 5th seed, who I think is probably going to end up being Alabama. Indiana's going to lose most likely to Ohio State. That's who the 5th seed is right now. They'll drop back. And eventually, I think they'll move Alabama in front of that Notre Dame team that's sitting at number 6. So that's going to be your prize for finally making the college football playoffs. Is you're going to get to play probably a pissed off Alabama team that's mad that they got 2 losses, that's mad that everybody's kind of put them under the radar now. That's still extremely talented, and that's who you're going to get in your first round. And I would rather see a SMU or somebody in that spot to get that shot there.
And we don't know what the criteria is for the committee and what they base it on. I know strength of schedule is one of them.
Yeah.
Conference win-loss records, but we don't know the criteria that they're basing it off of and what they're going on. And I wish we did.
Yeah.
But man, they got a tough job, and man, I just hope it plays itself out or they just get it right.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, that's all we can do is hope that it plays itself out, because it's going to be tough, especially with that bottom really 8 through 12 there, and you got 3 SEC teams you kind of just stuffed in there that you really don't know who to put in front of who, like with Ole Miss, Georgia, and Tennessee. I can tell they don't really know what to do with them. The 4 conference winners will get an automatic bid, so Oregon will probably be in there. No idea who's going to win the SEC. Colorado could potentially win the Big 12, so they'll be in there. And then in the ACC, it'll be out of Miami and SMU, whoever wins in that game for as far as getting the automatic bid. After that, I mean, it's just a wild card. I don't know.
Now, and Jalen, this is a good thought. I think they should take it up to so they rank the top 25 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So you put 24 in, you let 24 and 25 play, and then you go into it. It's kind of like March Madness type deal. And then I don't think you would have this problem because then you have the top 25 that you rank because you have an AP and you have an AP top 40. And then what is the other one? You have Sporting News. You have ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
You have all of these rankings and they
Coaches poll.
Coaches poll. Yeah. So I think you kind of have to get it to 24, and then that way you'll whittle it down to the best team in the country.
If they put that many teams in, for sure the best team is going to win.
You have to do away with these bowl games at some point, and then you do that. Make these games bowl games, because when I was in school, we had, I think, 12, 15 bowl games, something like that. Then you got all the way up to 30-something bowl games.
30-something.
You know, that makes no sense. Make this a part of you rank the top 25, like make 24 and 25 play to see who plays number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it like you do March Madness.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm lobbying for. But it may not happen because they just took it from 4 to 12.
Yeah,
you know?
But they were voting on 16.
Yeah. So even at 16, you probably still would have a problem.
It's still going to be a problem.
Yeah, at 24, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they could do it. They just got to take away some of those unnecessary games like Alabama playing Mercer and all those type of. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see those games. I understand teams want a warm up game or something, but I don't think you need 4 warm up games in a season.
In a team like Alabama will play Mercer, and Mercer will say yes because this is what Alabama do. Alabama will fly them in, put them in a hotel, and then send them home with $300,000. You know, and that's big for a Mercer budget to come in and play a team like Alabama, and then just, you know we're going to get our butts kicked. Yeah. But let's go get this $300,000 to put in our budget. You know, and that's what they do. And so that's why you have these teams that are irrelevant, and that's a cupcake, come in and play a team like Alabama or Texas or something like that. We're going to get beat 52-0. Yeah. But, hey, we got $300,000 we add to our budget. They didn't flew us in, and it's not on our dime. We didn't have to pay for anything. We didn't have to pay for the meal. We didn't have to pay for the hotel. We didn't have to pay for the flight. We didn't have to pay for anything. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you get paid leaving after all of that. So that's what it's about. That's what college football is all about. You know, and that's why you get these games. It's just let's fill our schedule. Let's get us a win. And this will go on our win-loss resume. And so they take it from there. Yeah, unless you end up losing like Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame. Then it's a bad decision. They paid Northern Illinois to get beat. Exactly. No doubt. They paid them. They took a butt whooping, and then they paid them to come and beat them. Yep. You know, and it ended up backfiring on them. You know, so man, until you, like you say, nobody wants to see games like that, but we're gonna get games like that because these teams are not gonna say no to coming in and playing at Alabama, even though they know they're gonna. They know they lost before they got they got there, but at the same time, it's and maybe going to Alabama or something, you're getting $500 million. I mean $500,000. Yeah, you know, just to go and play a game like that. Yeah, and then that's that. You know, you sign that contract, and hey, let's go take this $52 million and take this $500,000 check home that they're gonna put in our budget. Yeah, no, and that's exactly why the teams go out there and do it. So I understand. I get the hustle, and like you said, this is college football. That's what it's about. It's about dollars and cents, and we're going to see even more of that as it gets to closer for this college football, the final college football playoff ranking. Got a couple of weeks left. It's week 13. A couple of weeks left in the season before everybody goes to their conference championship game. So
Still a lot to be decided in the college football playoff rankings. But as of right now, it looks like they still got some work to do. Folks, we're getting ready to take a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk about these NFL teams. We're halfway through the season. Which one of these teams do we think are real and which one of these teams are fake? Some of them got good wins. Some had bad wins. Some teams kind of just floating around. We're going to talk about it when we come back. Also, in hour number 2, got the head coach of MCC women's basketball team coming up here to join us in hour number 2. And we still got to look at some of these games for the weekend in college football and in the NFL as well. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this.
Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blasian Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blasian Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
You know what time it is.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Start it up, let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in here to Centex Prime Time here on Centex Sports Network and also on Infinity Sports Radio, Central Texas. Thank you guys for listening with us today and all week long. We just wrapped up talking about the college football playoff rankings that just got put out on Tuesday. And still a lot of work for them to do out there. And they're getting it right some parts, but in other parts, like to see them do a little better. Still joined the studio by Wayne Walker, and we just talked about how we would like to see, a SMU in there, maybe even I wouldn't be mad at Texas A&M getting in there. I know Said left a comment on here and said leave A&M out of it.
Yeah.
But I think A&M has played well enough for them to deserve to come in there and get a spot, or at least get a shot at getting a spot in that college football ranking, especially if you're going to have Boise State in there and you're going to have a Notre Dame in there who we always say haven't played anybody. So definitely would like to see some of those teams get in there. And also Wayne said brought it to my attention in the break, man. We got a shout out to Baylor, man, for picking up some wins these last few weeks. 4 wins in a row. We talked about Baylor plenty of times before on this show, and they've won 4 in a row and are bowl eligible, and it did not look like that at the beginning of the season, especially through that first 5 weeks that they were going to be bowl eligible. They lost a tough game to Colorado that I was mad they should have won. Then they lost a tough game to BYU, and then after getting blown out to Iowa State, I kind of given up hope on them being bowl eligible. But, man, running off 4 wins in a row is impressive, especially in the Big 12. It's an up-and-down league, but most of the time, almost all the teams are going to be competitive in there. I mean, so for them to run off 4 straight wins is definitely impressive for the Baylor Bears. And they're bowl eligible, like I said, sitting at 6-4 now, so we'll see what bowl game they get a chance to get into. Folks, moving over to the NFL, I want to get a chance to talk about a new segment I brought up, the contenders and the pretenders in the NFL right now. Who are those teams that we still think can make a run in the NFL, make a run in the playoffs, get into the playoffs, or making some noise in the playoffs? And then some of these teams with good records, or some of the teams with just kind of borderline records, could be pretenders who I don't think are really going to do anything. And we'll talk about it. Looking at some of these teams now in here, the first one I want to start with is a team that just got a huge win on Sunday that we've been kind of high on the last couple of weeks, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is sitting at 8-2. Russell Wilson, now in at quarterback, has elevated this team offensively. Mike Tomlin doing a great job. Yesterday on the show, we did our midseason NFL awards, and I think Kyrell had picked Mike Tomlin as his coach of the year when we got to the coach of the year part of it. And Mike Tomlin's doing a phenomenal job. Again, he always flies under the radar because he's never had a losing season, so people get used to greatness after a while. And right now doing another great job coaching. That defense has been playing great. That offense looks better. But we want to see, Wayne, what do you think about this Pittsburgh team? Are they for real? Can they make a run in this playoffs? Or is this a team that's going to have a good record and kind of fall off once they get to that playoffs?
Well, they have all the pieces, okay? So you think about a Pittsburgh team, defense. Defense is what wins for you in December. Mm-hmm. November and December, defense is what wins. So they're led by their defensive team. You know, you take a team like Baltimore, who they beat last week, and Baltimore has been running the score up on everybody, rushing the ball, passing the ball, and they stop a team like this. But they've always had Baltimore's number. So that's nothing new. But they are a contender. They are a contender. Russell Wilson, this is just his 4th week.
Yeah.
So he's only going to continue to get better. You know, you had somebody else at the helm for like 6 weeks straight. So he's just now getting his feet on, under him to where he's able to really experience football. And during the season, you get better and better as a quarterback because you see more things and you feel more comfortable. You become a better leader, and he is just that for Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Threw a bad interception the other night, but other than that, man, he hadn't been throwing interceptions. He's just been doing what he does. Pittsburgh has been flipping the field with their defense. And if you score, they didn't score a touchdown the other night, and they won the ball game.
6 field goals.
That's 6 field goals. So that's what football is all about in November and in December and in January when you start getting to the end of your schedule and the weather starts to change and it starts to get cold and the elements start to play a part. They're a contender. They're a contender. And they got a good coaching staff. They got good special teams. And their only problem was they weren't winning games because of their offense. Now that they got a point guard, a floor general, a leader at the quarterback position, now I can see them winning games because he's not going to make those mistakes. You see Pickens has become his number 1 receiver. Man. He's got the tight end involved. Yeah. Then they got Najee, who is a good runner. Yeah. And then they got a game changer with Warren. Mm-hmm. So they have all the pieces that they need. I think they need a couple of more pieces on the line. I don't think their offensive line is elite, but everything else is elite with those guys. So they are definitely contenders.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. This Pittsburgh team is definitely a contender. And depending on how these matchups play out, if they win their division, they're going to get home field advantage. They're going to play a wild card team. And if they go out there and they play a Denver Broncos or they play even a Chargers team, that's going to get them in the divisional round. And then in that divisional round, it's just depending on who are you going to play once you get there. I can see this team getting to the AFC Championship. Do I see them getting out of the AFC? I don't think so. I don't think they have enough because of what you just said with their offensive line. I think teams in the playoffs will take advantage of that. But depending on what matchups they get, this team can go to the AFC Championship. T.J. Watt is playing out of his mind right now, and he's looking like an unstoppable force. And then you add in a Preston Smith on the other side of the trade deadline to go with him. The DBs have been playing serviceable all year. They somehow snatched Patrick Queen out of Baltimore and got him in there to play at Pittsburgh. So the defense is going to be the defense. And then, like you said with Russ, he's unlocked George Pickens to another level. George Pickens hadn't had an opportunity to play like this since he's been in the league because they've been handcuffed by the quarterback play. And now, even with Justin Fields, he was playing good and was getting them wins, but he couldn't stretch the field vertically. And Russell Wilson has been doing that from day one of him taking over as a starter.
And Jalen, you just look at it. They had a bad loss to Dallas that they lost, and they had Fields at the quarterback.
Yeah.
If you have Russell Wilson at quarterback, that's an easy win for him. So just think about what Russell has been doing since he's been in there. He hadn't lost a game yet.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a game.
Those two losses pretty much go to Justin Fields.
Yeah. Those two losses came early in the season. A super close game they lost against Indianapolis, and a super close game they lost against Dallas.
That if Russell Wilson is at quarterback, we're probably talking about them as being one of the undefeated teams in the league.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to look at it. When you think about where Russell Wilson has gone in and then the two teams that they lost to and how they lost, because I watched both of those games when they lost to the Colts and to the Cowboys. Those are both very close one-possession win type game. I think Justin Fields threw a couple of interceptions in that game against Indianapolis, and he started to – they came back in that game. Indianapolis was winning that for majority of the game, so Justin Fields' stats kind of looked good towards the end. But before that, they couldn't stretch the field vertically, and when they shut down the run game, there was nothing anybody could do. I think Jalen Warren was still hurt early in the season, so once they shut down Najee Harris, they couldn't do much. And now that they've got their full complement of weapons back, you mentioned the tight end with Pat Fryermuth in there as well. Man, this Pittsburgh team is scary.
And that's what it is, because it adds balance to your team. When you're able to stretch the field and throw the ball just a little bit, and that's what Justin Fields wasn't able to do. He couldn't throw the ball consistently. He can use his legs, but that's not enough. When you talk about team, you have to have balance on offense. You have to be able to keep teams off balance. You have to be able to run the ball and be able to throw the ball. And you have to be able to use play action. So you have to use all your assets that you have on offense. And Justin Fields wasn't able to do that. But Russell Wilson is. So they're a different team, and they're a dangerous team with him. I just think as far as rushing the passer, they'll be able to rush him and get some sacks on him because their offensive line is not elite. But everywhere else, I think Pittsburgh is elite, which makes him a contender with Russell being under center and with their defense.
Yeah, I agree. We got Pittsburgh as a contender. I want to go over to the NFC to a team that I felt like even at the beginning of the season when they were winning that this team was a pretender. And right now they're still leading their division, but I haven't been sold on them all year, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. And in the last few weeks, it's kind of starting to show up that this team isn't really playing as well as what some people thought they would play. I wasn't sold on the team even when they were 6-3. I know everybody was on the train and saying, they're doing this. Kirk Cousins, he's going to lead them to doing this. And their losses, they lost a close game to Kansas City early, and everybody was like, oh, man, well, that's Kansas City. But you go out here, you get a narrow victory over a Dallas Cowboys team. You lose to the Saints, who were at the time playing like the worst team in the league with how they were playing. You lose to the Saints team and a division rival. Then you backdoor, and the Broncos blow the doors off of you. And when they come in the next day, you go up there to Denver and play them. You lose 38-6. And Bo Nix, who has been playing much better, got to give Bo Nix his credit. He's been playing much better.
No doubt.
But you let him come in and throw 4 touchdowns on your defense, and your defense was supposed to be the strong side of the ball coming into this season. I'm not sold on this Atlanta team. They're still winning their division, and they're most likely going to make the playoffs because of really just how bad the NFC South has been. Once Tampa Bay got all those injuries, they were kind of taken out of it. But with how bad the NFC South has been, they're probably still going to win it. But I'm not sold on this Atlanta team at all. What's your thoughts on Atlanta?
Well, I really do think they are a pretender. You know, I don't think they have the parts. They're benefiting from a weak division. You know, like you said, Tampa Bay had all the injuries, which would hurt, and that's who I really picked to win it.
Yeah, me too.
The Saints started off as gangbusters by beating Dallas real bad, and then they tailed off, but then the last couple of weeks have been playing well. So I still think the division is up in the air, but I think that Atlanta will pull it out, but I don't think that division, Atlanta or anyone in that division is going to go far. I think by far, out of all the divisions in the NFC, I think that is the weakest. The NFC South for sure.
For sure, yeah, that's the weakest division, and Atlanta's going to win it almost by default. I mean, winning it is winning it, and I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's almost going to be by default with how terrible that this NFC South has been because, like you pointed out, definitely the worst division in the NFC is the NFC South, and those are going to be Atlanta's going to be the winner out of that, and I think we both agree that they're pretenders. Another division in the NFC, and this one is really the entire division I want to ask about, and that's the NFC West. Is there a contender in this NFC West? Because obviously before the season started, we would say San Francisco.
No doubt.
San Francisco is in fourth place right now in the NFC West behind Arizona, who's 6-4, and everybody else has the same record at 5-5. But San Francisco lost to Seattle, and San Francisco lost to Los Angeles. So, and they lost to Arizona. They lost to all three of the teams in their division. So after doing that, now they're sitting at fifth place in this division. And that's why I said the question is really about this entire division. Is there a contender in the NFC West, or are really all these teams going to end up washing out once the playoff starts?
Well, you look at it and you just don't know because a game that you simply think that they should win, because last week LA played and I thought they should have won the game, and then they lose, and then they come back and they play a wonderful game this weekend, and then they win. Seattle goes and beat San Francisco, and they come back and they beat. And the hottest team in their division is Arizona.
Yeah,
you know, which I think Kyler Murray has been playing his best football ever since he's been in the NFL.
For sure.
So, and they do have an offense, and they can run the ball and they can pass the ball. Marvin Harrison, they have a tight end, and they have everything. They got Connor in the backfield, and their line, which they've been drafting in the first round for the top 10 picks for the last 10 years. So you should have that formula to win. But I think Arizona's going to win it. I'm thinking if they can beat Seattle, or if they can beat Seattle and Los Angeles, and I think they still have to play San Francisco one more time.
Yeah,
if they can win that game, I think they're the class of that division. The thing with San Francisco is all their losses has been coming inside of the division.
Yeah, almost all their losses. Yeah.
So I don't see it with all of the injuries, and I think they are handicapped by their skill positions because McCaffrey hasn't looked like McCaffrey lately, and then Debo stays in the training room.
Yep.
Then you got Ayuk
out for the season.
Yeah, so I just don't see them having enough weapons on offense to do what they really want to do, because now they become one-dimensional. And they have the best line, I think, in pro football. But if you don't have the people at the skill positions that can get open, Kittle's been hurt.
Yep.
So I just think injuries have derailed them, and I don't see them getting in this year. I just think this is going to be a down year for them, which they have one of the best coaches, and they've been in that NFC Championship game the last probably 3-4 years.
Yeah.
But I don't see them getting there this year.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't see San Francisco getting there. And like you said, they've been since they got to the Super Bowl in 2019. They've been a team that's consistently there as a contender to go to the Super Bowl, or at least to get to the NFC Championship. And I'm agreeing. I think Arizona's going to win this division. I didn't think that at all. I thought Arizona might have finished last place in this division before the season started. That might have been where I picked Arizona to finish, because I didn't see much talent on either side of the ball. But Gannon has done a great job of getting a lot of production out of some people that teams let go. They let, Mac Wilson's bounced around. He was projected to be a top linebacker coming out of Alabama 4 or 5 years ago. He's bounced around. He's played great for them this season. You think about the addition of getting Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously, but other guys have come in and stepped in and played great.
McBride.
Trey McBride is probably their best receiver as far as production-wise on that team. Then you think about just a consistent guy like a James Conner who's going to get 80 to 100 yards every single game that he goes out there and plays. So he's done a great job out there. Kyler Murray, a lot of people, kind of gave up on Kyler Murray and saying, oh, he's not that good. Man, Kyler Murray is still the only guy to get picked in the top 10 in 2 sports for a reason. He's a ball player. He can play. He's an incredible athlete and has been a baseball player his whole life.
Right,
so he's got an arm. Though if you played baseball, most of the time they're gonna come in. They got an arm, and he's definitely got an arm, and he's got a lot of touch on his throws. You've seen that in the over the shoulder touchdown. In the last game they played to Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think Arizona's gonna win that, but I don't have Arizona as being a contender. I think when they get into the playoffs, they're gonna unfortunately end up having to play a Philadelphia or a Minnesota, somebody like that, Detroit. And that's not going to go well for them when they get into the playoffs. So the NFC West is a mystery right now. I want to go back up to the AFC, and I want to talk about another team that just got a big win, and that's the Buffalo Bills. They finally give Kansas City their first loss, what it seems like everybody was waiting on the whole year for Kansas City to lose a game because everybody's so mad that they're winning close games or they're only winning by this many points or whatever the narrative is. Buffalo does come in and get a win, though, over a tough Kansas City team. And we've seen Buffalo do this multiple times in the regular season. They beat Kansas City in the regular season probably 2 or 3 times in the Josh Allen era. It's the playoffs that they've never been able to beat Kansas City. And right now, Buffalo's sitting at 9-2. Josh Allen's playing phenomenal this year. We've seen him take a step up. I think he's playing probably the best he's played in his career because he doesn't have a huge complement of weapons out there, even though they've added an Amari Cooper. He's been in and out of the lineup since they've added him, and Buffalo hasn't missed a beat. Von Miller's been in and out of the lineup since they added him. Buffalo hasn't missed a beat. They still don't have Matt Milano. He's missed this entire season. Buffalo hasn't missed a beat. Shout out to Terrell Bernard, a former Baylor Bear. He's playing great, and in that Kansas City game, he was the best player on their defense. He got an interception that was huge for them in that game. He got a sack that was huge for them in that game. He was their leading tackler in that game, so he played great. What do you think about this Buffalo team and how they've looked this last couple of weeks?
Buffalo, I think, is definitely a contender. And they've been playing well all year. They started off well, lost a couple of games, and then they picked it back up. But they've been consistent.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And they just don't have just one thing that can beat you. They have multiple things, They went out and got Amari Cooper, who has an elite receiver to him, but they've been throwing to Shakira and they've been throwing to their tight end, and it's been Cooks, and it's been, it's been him, running the ball. So they doing it with a complementary of guys, and their defense has been playing wonderful.
Yeah.
So, like I say, when you have multiple units that can catapult you to victory, then it's well because it adds balance to your team, and you become a complete football team because your defense can come in and get 3 and outs or get the team to punt, and your offense can go on a drive and they can get you 3 points or they can get you 7. Mm-hmm. So when you have it like that, you are a contender. Do I see them winning the Super Bowl? For me, that's hard because the AFC, I think everything is going to run through Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City.
For sure.
And I would see Buffalo as my 4th best team in the AFC, but definitely a contender. And like we say in the NFL always, any given Sunday, anybody can win. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, long season, but long as you're in that contender category, you're okay.
Yeah. As long as you got a chance, yeah.
You have a chance. You're in the because injuries are still a part of the game, and we don't know who's going to get hurt in these next couple of weeks or whatever's going to happen. But if you're in a contender category and not a pretender, you have a chance. That's why we're sitting here saying contenders and pretenders.
Exactly.
So they are contenders.
Yeah, I agree. I think Buffalo is in that spot. When you got somebody like Josh Allen, you got a chance to win in any game, no matter who you go out there and play, especially with the way he's been playing. I think they're a well-coached team with Sean McDermott. I think their defense is playing great as well out there. So when you got a great defense is what travels. And when you got this many wins, teams are going to have to come to Buffalo and play. And nobody wants to play in Buffalo in January. It's going to be 4 or 5 feet of snow.
And they've been there. They've been in the same spot the last 3 or 4 years where they've been in the top 2, top 3, playing for the AFC championship to go to the Super Bowl. So they've been there. Yeah. And then they had that experience, and they had that playoff experience, and they know what it takes to get there. They had the same coach, the same quarterback, and the same people. So they is definitely contenders.
Yeah, I agree. 100% definitely contenders going out there. One more team in the AFC I want to ask you about, and that is your former team in the Chargers, man. The Chargers, they're looking good. A sneaky team. The 7-3 have just snuck right under the radar. Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I didn't think it would be this quick, but I knew this team was going to be much better when you add a coach like Jim, because I feel like he don't get enough credit for the team that he built in San Francisco when his first time as being a head coach. That team he was only there for 4 or 5 years, and they competed for the NFC Championship or a Super Bowl 4 out of those years. So, I mean, when you play like that,
when we talk about the Chargers, I want to talk about the powder blue uniforms. They would never let us wear those powder blue. So I'm kind of mad at the Chargers about that. But my former team I love, that team that I root for. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say they're pretenders. Even though, I mean, my heart is with them, and my blood runs blue and gold. Man, I'm gonna have to say, I think his Harbaugh's first year of coaching, he just needs a little bit more. I think they have a formidable defense that can play. Offensive wise, I just don't think they had a weapons. I don't think they had a weapons on the outside. That you need. And Herbert is a good quarterback, and Dobbins, kind of restarted his career and has been doing good. But when you get to the playoffs, you can't be one-dimensional. You're not going to be able just to run the ball. And they have a good line, a good young line that just likes to kind of roll grade you and run the ball, and that's what it's set up. But when you get into November and, after Thanksgiving and all of December, the element's going to play a part. You're not going to be in sunny California all the time. So you're going to have to come out of that dome, and you're going to have to play in some rough places. And I just don't think – I think they're pretenders right now. A good team that's on its way up. But I just don't see them being – I can't put them ahead of Kansas City, which is in there. And then they're going to have a tough time with a Denver team. Denver is a team that's coming up and that's been playing well in that division. So I'm saying I'm sticking with Kansas City. I'm sticking with Baltimore. I'm sticking with Buffalo. And I'm those are the teams that I'm sticking with. So we'll see, man.
I agree. I got them in the same as you, the pretender category, and they're a good team. I think this team is just ahead of schedule, honestly. I think nobody thought they would be this good that quick.
Exactly.
And it's because of what you just said, those weapons on the outside. They just don't have enough yet. They're still young. I don't think they didn't expect, Harbaugh expected them to be this good, but the rest of the league didn't expect them to be.
591-32.
I think their problem is the offensive line. If they can protect C.J. Stroud, I mean, they got the receivers, they got the running backs, and they have the defense. That can play. But if they don't straighten that out before the season is over with, then they'll be right back at home. They'll get to the playoffs, they'll win their division, but they won't go far without being able to protect.
I got them in that same category. The Texans and the Chargers are both teams that are good, but they're not going to make enough noise in the playoffs because of offensive line play for the Houston Texans. I think C.J. Stroud's the most pressured quarterback right now in the NFL, so they won't be able to go too far with them playing like that. And the Chargers, good team, but as of right now, just too young, too ahead of schedule, not enough weapons on the outside. Folks, we got to get to a break. When we come back, got to do a couple of quick takes. Later on, we're going to have the coach of MCC women's basketball team going to come and join us as well, and we'll talk about some of the games for this weekend. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back after this short break here on Centex Primetime.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken #1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken #1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken #1 at 11th and Clay.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 here on the show today, this Wednesday evening. Hope everybody's doing great out there today. As always, make sure you go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV, so you can get notified whenever we go live here, 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. Also, you can download the app Centex Sports One on your mobile device so you can listen on Infinity Sports Radio from wherever you're at. Still joined in studio by Wayne Walker. We just got done talking about some contenders and pretenders in the NFL season so far this year. A lot of good teams that kind of starting to stick their head out above the crowd and starting to get above some of the rest of these guys out here, but still some teams that need to do some work, and we don't think that are going to make some noise once the playoff starts. Got a couple quick takes on here that I need to talk about, and still staying with the NFL. The Jets drama just continues as now they fire their GM, Joe Douglas. Fire the GM. He's done as far as the GM for the New York Jets. They fired their coach a few weeks ago, obviously, and I guess people thought that was miraculously going to change some things. They brought in Devontae Adams, and they said that's going to change some things. And the Jets continue to lose. I hate that the only win that they have in the last 2 months is against my Houston Texans. But that's the only win that they have in about 2 months, really. Since they lost that game 10-9, when everybody really started to raise their eyebrows about this Jets team, they lost to the Broncos 10-9, I think in week 4. Bo Nix only threw for 60 yards in that game, and the Jets couldn't find a way to win that game. Since then, the eyebrows have been raised. Since then, they've lost every single game they've played outside of the Houston Texans game. They get Devontae Adams, and they said, we just need to get Adams in the fold, and we fired the coach, and we're going to start getting it together. They lose after they lost to the Bills. That's when they went and got Adams. Then they go out to the Steelers. They lose against the Steelers 37-15. Man, Rodgers and Adams just need some more time together. Then the next week they lose to the New England Patriots, who were considered to be one of the worst teams in the league, especially the worst team in their division. They go out, win against the Houston Texans. Some slight hope starts to come back. They say, they're starting to get on track. Devontae Adams, they're starting to figure it out. They played at Arizona, and then after that, it was supposed to be some potential, not cupcake games, but games that they thought they were going to be able to win. They played the Arizona Cardinals, lose to them. They play the Indianapolis Colts, lose to them. And then they fired their GM. Wayne, what are your thoughts on this drama going on in New York?
This is a team in total disarray. When you fire your coach in the 4th game of the season, what do you expect? Not a very good team from the top to the bottom. You fire your head coach first, then you fire your general manager. You kind of let Aaron Rodgers make all the decisions. You go out and get him his receiver, but you can't protect him. And you're talking about a 40-year-old quarterback, 40-year-old something quarterback that you can't protect. A team is not just made up of a quarterback. It goes a long ways with a receiver, and they have a great running back. But you have to be able to protect those guys. You got to be able to block for those guys. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be a formidable team.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Jets are in disarray. They don't have all the pieces. Mm-hmm. And they thought Aaron Rodgers was just going to be it. And then you got reports where the owner, who has gotten involved in the team, and he wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers and all this type of stuff, where you can't do that. You brought this man in to make your team. You traded away pieces.
Yep.
You done all of this to get this man to be a part of your team. And you talked so well about him and talked about how he was going to change the outlook of your ball club. And then once you bring him in and it hadn't happened, now you want to you want to bench him. Well, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Because now, who are you going to go get? Who are you going to go get as quarterback? And this man is still under contract. So you have to pay him. So
for the next 3 years.
Yeah. So you are in disarray. So he's going to leave when he wants to leave.
Yep.
You don't have an offensive staff at all. It looks like a college type of deal. And I think right now Aaron Rodgers is the offense coordinator and kind of playing what he wants to play.
Yeah.
But they're not in a good situation. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. So you may as well sit Aaron Rodgers down. I don't know. I don't know where they go from here.
Yeah. They
got a lot of things to figure out.
Too many things to figure out. In my opinion, and then you got these sources coming out of the locker room saying that they would be shocked if Woody Johnson kept Aaron Rodgers as the starting quarterback next year. But like you just said, he's under contract. I don't know how shocked are you going to be if because who's going to play quarterback? Then there's reports coming out saying that they want to bench Aaron, that Woody Johnson wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers September 30th. Right. After they lost a few games in a row. He wanted to bench Rodgers then. First off, who are you going to bench him for? And what was benching him going to do?
And they had no offensive identity the whole year. They had the same offense coordinator to begin the year that they had last year, that they were the lowest scoring team in productivity in the whole league. Mm-hmm. So you bring this guy back, then you strip him, which is Aaron Rodgers' guy, and make him the quarterback coach. Then you make some other guy offense coordinator, and he does just as bad.
Yeah. So
you're in the same. They don't have an identity on offense, so that's why they hadn't been able to move the ball. That's why Aaron Rodgers hadn't been able to be that quarterback they want him. You have to have an identity on offense. You have to have a plan, and they don't have a plan, and that's what their problem is. And for one, you can't protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to work in with what you have. You have to work with the personnel that you have. And if you can't work with the personnel that you have on offensive line to make sure that Aaron Rodgers is going to be formidable at the quarterback position, to at least be productive, to have dump offs. Sometimes he goes into a 3-step drop and he's already got pressure on him.
Yeah.
And for a 40-something-year-old quarterback, that's not going to be good at all.
No.
So they have a lot of problems. They had a defense identity when Saleh was the coach.
Yeah.
And he was one of the best defense coordinators in the league, and they had identity. They were holding teams under 20 points or under 13 and 14 points, and they were still losing. But then you fire him in the 4th game of the year. So what do you have? You have a lot of issues, and you have a lot of things to figure out during the offseason. So they can start planning for vacation now.
Yeah.
And they have a long time, and they'll try to start figuring things out now.
Yeah, I mean, you fired Joe Douglas. I'm not a fan of the in-season firings because I don't get what you're gonna, especially with a GM. What was he gonna do? The trade deadline's passed. All these things have passed. What was Joe Douglas gonna do now? If you're gonna fire him, why didn't you fire him before the season started? Then, is Joe Douglas the reason for the way that this team was go? I would blame Woody Johnson, the owner, more than I would blame Joe Douglas. Yes, Joe Douglas says they missed on the Zach Wilson pick, but Woody Johnson was the one that wanted to get Aaron Rodgers. He found a way to make it happen. His job is just to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's still the guy that drafted Sauce Gardner. This still the dude that drafted Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and Garrett Wilson. He drafted these dudes, Vera Tucker on the offensive line.
And the thing about it is, like you said, to get Aaron Rodgers, he had to sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a contract dispute with the guy you trade from Philadelphia. What's his name? The defensive end.
Oh yeah. Hassan Reddick. Yeah.
Reddick. So you have a problem with Reddick. You don't sign him.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to add that other dimension to your team. He hadn't played all year.
Yeah. I think he just played his first game like last week.
And he hadn't made a difference. And it's not going to make a difference.
No, it's too late.
You don't go to a training camp.
It's too late.
Or anything like that. It's not going to make a difference. And so you were supposed to be this team that was supposed to be, when we was talking about contenders and pretenders.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be a contender because you had Aaron Rodgers and you had Hassan Reddick, and you hadn't been nowhere. You're gonna be vying for one of the top 5 picks in the draft next year.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
That's a problem.
When you go all in, like Jerry Jones said they were gonna do with the Dallas Cowboys, this team potentially, and at least in their version of going all in, they went and signed Tyron Smith at left tackle, who we figured out now was done, and they've signed him out there. They went and got Morgan Moses, another tackle that had a good career, but he's way past his prime. You bring those guys in. You sign a Mike Williams that you ended up trading. You trade for Devontae Adams. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. You drafted Breece Hall and these guys. They went all in on that side of the football, in my opinion, and they made the trade for Hassan Reddick to come out there, even though that didn't make sense of why do you trade for a guy and then expect you don't have to pay him. That didn't make any sense in my opinion. Like, I don't – what did you trade for him for if you think you were going to pay him?
You have a guy like Huff that went to Philadelphia that hadn't done anything in Philadelphia, but he was a guy that was a part of that scheme and did a good job in that scheme, which made him get paid in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But you get rid of him, and then you bring a guy like Hassan Reddick in. Why are you disassembling your team to bring other guys in to make your team a better team, and it hadn't worked?
Yeah.
And they just need to get some offensive identity because they don't have any. It looks like playground football out there.
Mm-hmm.
It just had so. What I think they need to do, in my opinion, is they need to go get a guy like Ben Johnson.
Yes.
And then you can a system guy that his system has produced the most points in the NFL the last 2 years. You go get a guy like that or the guy from the Texans.
Yeah,
Slovic.
Bobby Slowick, yeah.
Yeah, so you go get a guy like that and you bring him in, and I think you can have that. Aaron Rodgers can be productive, but if you don't go get a guy that has an offensive guru, or you go get a Cliff Kingsbury and bring him in, if you don't go get a guy that's offensive minded, then you're not gonna be you're gonna be in the same spot again next year.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Ben Johnson should be number one. I mean, they shouldn't even let the season expire before they're blowing Ben Johnson's phone up as far as coming in to do an interview with the New York Jets, because as bad as they played, they've got a lot of these guys under contract, and they're coming back next year, exactly. and that are real weapons. They still going to have Devontae Adams is still under contract the next 2 years,
and you have Garrett. You
Garrett Wilson.
So if I'm offensive coordinator and I got a Breece Hall and I got these two guys out here, and there's no way I wouldn't want to go in and coach these guys, because then I know I can do my job. It's when you go and you're a coach and then you don't have these type of assets.
Yeah.
That gets you fired, but you have arguably two of the top 10 receivers in the whole league.
Yeah,
and then you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you have a top 10 running back.
Yeah,
so this is a team that if I'm Ben Johnson, I'd want to go and coach.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing I'm thinking. I'm a good coordinator would want to come to this team. You got Aaron Rodgers, and as bad as they've gone this year, and everybody's saying Aaron Rodgers is playing terrible, for most people, this would be a decent season for him. It's just we're holding him up to Aaron Rodgers standards.
But to be fair to him, they don't have any identity.
No, they don't.
They don't. They don't have an identity.
It looks like a college offense, like you said earlier.
And he's basically been running, running the team, running the offense.
Yep.
Because at that point in his age, offense coordinator is going to come in and say, hey, well, I'm going to let you put your spin on it. What do you think we should do, Aaron? And Aaron is going to say, well, this is what I think we should do. So he's probably pretty much the offense coordinator, which is not fair to everybody else. You need a guy that's going to come in and that's going to that you can put over him, that's going to run things and that's been successful and that he'll listen to. Because when you get up into that age and you played over 18 years, sometimes no one can tell you anything because you've been there for so long. Ain't nobody tell you. But when it's somebody that's successful and that's come in and has productive offenses, then you can come in and then you can say, hey, sit him down and say, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you a better quarterback at the age of 40. So let's go out here and get this.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think this season is definitely a humbling experience for Aaron Rodgers as far as him feeling like I don't need a coach. It doesn't. Because when you don't, you see where the direction can go. Just because you feel like you might not need a coach, it's 10 other guys out there on that field with you on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
And a lot of them are young, and they need a coach. Somebody like Ben Johnson would be great for them. But as of right now, the Jets, like you said, it's planning vacation time. These guys are done as far as the end of their season. It's one more quick take I want to get here. I want to get in here, and that is, we've talked about it multiple times on here. This podcast that Micah Parsons has seems to continually stuck his foot in his mouth over and over with them having this podcast. Obviously, the Cowboys season has been in complete disarray this entire season. With Dak getting hurt, it's just only gotten worse. I was in attendance at the game on Monday when the Texans played them. And, I told Rocky and them yesterday, I was really honestly shocked at how much the fans still had to say going out there and watching this game. I'm like, bro, do y'all know y'all are 3-6? Like, but that's the Dallas Cowboys. But Micah has fallen victim to this culture, I believe, now as far with the Dallas Cowboys, because he says crazy stuff week in and week out. We just seen him saying crazy stuff about his head coach, something that should have been addressed in the locker room. You're saying this out loud to the media. Then you come on your show with Trayvon Diggs out there and say, I don't think we're that bad of a team. I think we're just getting a bad rap right now, and we made a couple of bad decisions, but I don't think we're a bad team. I think we're a really good football team. And I'm looking at the record of you being 3-7. I think they've been blown out the most, or close to the most in the league this year. They've lost their last 6 home games in a row. The New Orleans Saints have scored more touchdowns at AT&T Stadium this year than the Dallas Cowboys have scored at AT&T Stadium this year which is a ridiculous stat to say.
What's some research? That's some research, Jalen. That's some research, baby. That's some research.
They are playing terrible and at home, which makes it even worse. Micah Parsons comes on there and says that he's talking about the Texans game, and he's saying, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. He said, yeah, well, if you take out the 14 points they scored in the first quarter, from that point, the next 2 quarters, we held them to 6 points, so we really played good. And then in the fourth quarter, they scored another 14 points. But if you take out the fourth quarter and the first quarter, we held them to 6 points. Now, does that make – I'm not just the biggest mathematician, but this doesn't make any sense to me, and that's what you're using to justify yourself as having a good defense. I've hated Micah Parsons' podcast since it started because I mean, if the players are going to have a podcast when they're playing, that's cool. But to go out here and continually say stuff about your team – you came on there at the beginning of the year and did a top 10 list of quarterbacks, and you left your own quarterback out of it. I mean, they do crazy stuff on there, man.
Man, the thing about it is I mean, you're an elite player, and you hadn't played like it this year because you've been hurt, you've been injured, and y'all just been getting ran through.
Yep.
So you're a product of that defense. You've only played well when you were in Dan Quinn's scheme and as a rookie. But in this scheme, you haven't. In Mike Zimmer's scheme, you hadn't, and you've been hurt. My problem with having a podcast during the season is it's going to be controversial. You're going to say things that you shouldn't say. So you shouldn't have a podcast in season, only out of season. And the problem is you have a lot of people listening to you, and they want to hear what you're saying, and you're controversial, and you keep creating this culture every week. And you keep creating this controversy every week. Man, just play football. You're there to play football. And you'll be more respected about your opinions and things that you say if you were sitting there and you were winning and you were 11-0 at this time.
Yeah.
You know, so with that being said, you're not.
Yeah.
You hadn't been a good defense. You hadn't played that well.
Yeah.
You're not going to the Pro Bowl or anything like that this year. It's a lot of things that you have to fix in.
A lot.
And your podcast is only making it worse. I mean, great guy. Great player.
Yeah.
If he's put in the right scheme, but right now you just need to shut your mouth.
Yeah. That's
just basically what it is. And, you know, I don't want to be critical of Micah Parsons, but man, just go play football, man, and just do your job, man, and just you can do this in the off season, and you can still get as many subscribers as you get now.
Yeah, it's no problem in that. Having it in the off season, I think, will make a lot more sense. I've been saying that since he started it, and when you know you're not media trained, which most people aren't, because the more you talk, you're gonna say something wrong. I say wrong things on here all the time.
Me and you both.
But I don't have, I don't have the type of following that Micah Parsons has, nor do I have a loyalty to a football locker room that I consider my teammates. And like brothers, you've talked about it multiple times how close a locker room can be in there. That's like your family.
Yeah.
And you're going on here and you're saying stuff about your family. Even last year in the offseason, when he was in the offseason, he brought on Jordan Love as a guest on the show, which I thought was crazy. Like, these guys just blew you out in the playoffs, and you brought him on as your guest. And on there, you said, yeah, I mean, we really couldn't do anything to stop you when you were out there, man. You know, you were just doing what you wanted. Like, those are your teammates you're talking about. You were out there on the field with those guys.
That's the problem, because when I played in the old days, man, you didn't even talk to a guy in season,
exactly.
man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then when you played him after the game, then you shook his hand, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But then during the summertime and during the off season, then you got together. Even my guys at Texas Tech, which I played against, man, we were friends and we boys.
Yeah.
But man, during the season,
no,
you know, we talked, but we never talked about football.
Yeah.
And we never. And at this time, you didn't have no podcast, so I'm in the dinosaur area of football. But at the same time, man, these guys were more than enemies on the field.
Man.
And then once we come off, we boys again. Yeah. So I don't know. It's the new era of football, but that's where we are now.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they go with that, and obviously he's going to continue to do it, and that's why the Cowboys need, in my opinion, a culture change more than they need. I know they're going to have a coaching change going into this offseason. Mike McCarthy, the writing's probably already on the wall for him, and he's coaching like it. But I think they need within getting their coach, they need a culture change. that's why so many people are saying stuff about Coach Prime, even though I don't think he's going to go there, because we talked about it last week, because obviously with Jerry Jones being there, and then they're not going to be able to draft. He's going to want to go where his son's drafted, and they're not in a position to draft his son either. So I don't see that working out with them. But they need somebody that can change some culture for that team out there in the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. They do, and they're going to have to – they may have to do the same thing they did with like a Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
And go get a Bill Parcells. Not a Bill Parcells, but
Belichick is out there. Yeah.
You got to go get a Belichick to fix your program for a couple of years and then bring somebody in under him once you get everything back in order. They have a lot of they have a lot of work as well. They in that same boat with all these teams figuring things out. I think the only team that's in that position that probably not going is San Francisco, and I think they are derailed by injuries. But and they had a personnel, but a team like Dallas and the Jets, I think personnel, the guys they put on the field, they're going to have to change a lot of things with those guys. So when you talk about changing personnel and putting the right people on the field, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
even with the Jets, I don't think they have to do that so much. I think they need to fix their line. But their skill positions and everything like that, they have them. They have the defense. They have the players in place. Personnel is good. Dallas, personnel is bad.
Yeah, that's exactly.
They have a lot of work. They have to get a running back.
Man.
I think they have to get a quarterback. I think they have to get another receiver. I think they have to get some defensive linemen. They have to get some linebackers. It's so much to be fixed within that organization, and it starts at the top.
Yeah, man. And that's the biggest problem of it all, is that it starts at the top. Jerry has already come out multiple times this year and let us know he is the one making the decisions up there, and right now it reflects that. It shouldn't be an owner making football decisions. Owners should make business decisions, but with the Cowboys, we know that things are always a little bit different with them. So Micah Parsons in his podcast, it hasn't gone great so far as camaraderie in the locker room, but they've got a lot of work to do, and it starts with guys like Marker, because he's the future of this franchise, regardless how they look at him on there. He's their best player on defense, probably the best player on the team. So he's got to go out and show a little bit more leadership skills in that area. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have the head coach of MCC basketball joining us. Coach Candace Thomas will be coming on here with us, and we'll wrap up at the end and talk about a couple more of these NFL games as well. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken No. 1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken No. 1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken No. 1 at 11th and Clay.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time here in the home stretch of the show. Final 25 minutes here. Want to thank everybody that's been tuning in with us so far. Today, as always, go over to the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Centex Sports Network on YouTube /Centex Sports TV on YouTube as well. Also, you can download the app on your mobile device so you can listen on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas. Download the app Centex Sports 1 on your mobile device. Be able to listen to this content 5 to 7 p.m. Just got done wrapping up talking about some of these teams in the NFL with Wayne Walker on here, and got a chance to talk about some college football as well. Want to shift over and talk about a little bit of college basketball. We have the head coach of the MCC women's basketball team in studio with us, Coach Candace Thomas. Coach, what's going on?
Nothing much. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. Definitely want to appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come down here because you guys are in mid-season right now over at MCC. Coach, your team is off to a great start once again, 6-0 start so far in the season. Your second year as head coach. Before we get to talking about just in the season, I want to talk a little bit about really what was it like getting your chance to become the head coach of this team. You've been in this program for so many years at MCC. You get your shot, and you did an amazing job in your first season as head coach, winning conference at MCC with this team in your first year as head coach. And just talk about that experience and how that was for you last year.
I'm extremely grateful. If I tell people this all the time, like if you would have asked me 4 or 5 years ago what I wanted to be doing, if the opportunity presented itself, I would love to have been the head women's basketball coach at MCC. As you know, Waco's home for me. I was the assistant for 9 years. And I just felt like if the opportunity presented itself that, I wanted to be ready. And so over those years, I just, had a chance to be under Coach Ricky Rose for 8 years, Coach Bill Brock for a year. Yeah. And I think that those guys really, really showed me, the way to run a program. Yeah. And so I give kudos to those guys. And just when I, as the assistant, just tried to learn as much as I could, soak up as much knowledge that I could. And so when my number was called, I want to make sure I was ready. And so, again, I give all thanks to God. Everything happens for a reason. God's timing is everything. Yeah. And I think it was the right time, and I stepped into it, and here we are.
Yeah. A little bit different of a role change. Like you said, you were in this program for 9 years as an assistant coach, but you got a chance to sit in the seat next to you finally and get that head coach job. What are some of those I guess, major adjustments? Because, I mean, it is a different job, and getting a chance to run the team, and this is your team. You're in charge of a lot more responsibilities,
Right.
including all of the players being part of your responsibility as
Right.
well.
Absolutely. That one seat over is a difference.
Yeah.
It is different, and I did not realize that. But what I noticed, like in my first year, is a lot of the off the court situations that you got to make decisions on.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is so far from basketball. It's other things that, as young adults trying to grow up and figure it out, you got to be able to make tough decisions at times. And so I think that was something that I learned early on.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to, again, I don't feel like that there's a right or wrong way. I think as you're coaching and then you're in this seat, you got to try to figure it out as you go along, and sometimes it's the right decision. Sometimes it may not be the right decision, but I think the biggest thing is learning and growing and being better than you were the year before. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, and you're doing a phenomenal job so far starting out the season. Like I said, 6-0 on the year to start the season. Last year, a perfect home record, 13-0, 14-2 conference record as well in your first year. What are some of those things that you try to take in, I guess, from last year, and that was such a whirlwind experience and it being your first year,
right.
And you take it and you try to apply it to this year, but now you've got pretty much a brand new team.
Right.
It's a new group of girls out there, new adjustments you have to make, and you have to adjust to the style of these players that you have now as opposed to the styles of the players that you had in last year. So what are some of those things you try to bring over from last year and take them into this year as far as your coaching so far?
I know the biggest thing, like kind of going back to you talking about it being undefeated at home. Like that's one of our team goals.
Yeah.
And the players this year, they know that, they understand that. And I think last year we done a really good job of protecting our home floor.
Definitely.
And so that's something that we're harping on this year as well. This team is completely different than last year's team. Last year we were a little bit more experienced. We were older.
Yeah.
This year we have 10 freshmen. And so we brought back 4 players off of last year's team, but only 2 of them played. And so you can really kind of say we have 12 new players. And so just trying to harp on the little things and getting them to understand that everybody's going to give McLennan women's basketball their best shot. Just being ready to come out each and every day and understand that we have this target on our back, and so I think we just try to embrace it. We try to come in and work hard and get better every single day. And I think these players are up for the challenge. There's some really, really talented freshmen, but they are freshmen.
Yeah.
And so with that, there's a lot of teaching, a lot of learning. But for the most part, they come in and they work hard. So that's kind of all we can ask for, really.
Yeah, and you can see some of those things in watching the game, some of those things you guys try to implement, like you said, protecting that home court is important, and you guys did a phenomenal job of doing that last year, and I can see the intensity that they come out and play with at home because they want to keep that up. They want to keep that streak going. Nobody wants to be the first ones to give that up, especially under your regime. And you talked a little bit about the stuff you have to deal with and, going and off the court. It's such a tough job, and not a lot of people think about how you have to keep these young ladies focused and going. They got to balance school. They got to balance their regular life. A lot of them, most of them have never lived in Waco before.
Right.
You got to keep them in line here in Waco and keep them doing the right things, all while trying to implement the things you want to implement as a team and your schemes that you want to go out there and do and the different sets that you want these players to learn. What is it like trying to balance all that? Because it seems like a lot, and just me trying to say all of those things at once. It seems like a lot to have to deal with, but you've done a great job so far in doing it.
Thank you. Something we preach every day, Jalen, honestly, is keeping the main thing.
For sure.
Like, that's what we talk about. And what the main thing is being the best student you can be and being the best basketball player you can be.
Yeah.
Those 2 things, if you come here and do what you're supposed to do, then everything's going to take care of itself. At the same time, this is college. Me and my assistant, we've been in their shoes. We've been college athletes, and these are supposed to be some of the best years of your life. And we understand that, but also understanding what you're here for, And so I tell them all the time, like, I want you guys to enjoy this experience, but be responsible at the same time. And so for the most part this year, we've been doing a really, really good job at that. Again, they're young adults trying to figure it out. And so every day is not going to be peachy cream. There's going to be some tough lessons that have to be taught, some discipline, and just things like that. But for the most part, when they keep the main thing, and one of the signs that we have in our locker room is be where you're supposed to be, doing the best that you're supposed to do. And when you do that, everything take care of itself. Like, be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing it to the best of your ability. And that's in the classroom, that's on the floor, that's off the floor, that's back at the duplexes, and if they can do that, then everything is going to be fine.
No, for sure. And that's a great motto to try to keep up with. And like you said, if you keep the main thing,
Yes.
You can stay focused on basketball because, like you said, the young ladies and the young adults trying to just figure out their way and how they want to do this. But basketball has presented them this opportunity, and MCC is a great school to come to. I mean, that's you've traveled a lot to a lot of these schools and colleges that you have to travel and go to, and just in the time that we've spent at MCC getting a chance to work with you guys, we've seen a lot of different scenarios, I guess you could say, in some of these other schools that you have to go in and play, and then you come to MCC, and I'm like, man, MCC is a really good school. I mean, I'm going back to college now to finish my degree, and I'm at MCC right now, so I get to see the campus, and I mean, it's a really good school, and it's fun to see. I guess some younger people going out here and really trying to stay focused and find how they want to go and find their way through life, really, as starting out as a young adult. So you guys have a game coming up this Saturday against Paris, and right before Thanksgiving break, we talked about keeping them focused. How do you keep everybody locked in, because everybody's looking for that break? This is the tough part of the semester. Everybody's got assignments and projects due, and you're trying to make sure you get your grades right before the end of the semester. Then you got Thanksgiving. I'm sure a lot of your players have travel plans for going back home and spending Thanksgiving with their family. Then you guys come back here for a couple of weeks before they go off for their Christmas break. So how's it like trying to keep everybody locked in and focused on that before we go to these multiple breaks now coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Just being present. And that's what I tell them. Like, we know the break is coming, but you have some business, some unfinished business before we hit the break. And like you said, we have Paris coming into town on Saturday. And so, again, we go back to protecting our home floor, and so we'll hopefully, we've had a week off since we played last. We played last Saturday. And so we've just been practicing, working on a lot of good things, trying to get better in areas, transition defense, boxing out, and rebounding, just trying to get better at that. But I think we've talked about it, and they understand that here we are, another opportunity. We're about to get Paris' best shot, so we need to make sure we're all locked in and focused on this assignment. And then when the Thanksgiving break get here, we'll take care of that.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good point, because a lot of teams, and Coach Gill has to deal with this as well. A lot of teams want to come in and beat a team to beat MCC.
Oh, yeah.
MCC, they see you guys, the facilities that you have, the beautiful campus that when they come out there, you guys travel well. We see how, a lot of different conditions for other teams. Everybody wants to be the teams that come in and say, hey, we put it on MCC in this game. So what's it like trying to combat that? Because you're trying to be your best, but at the same time, week in and week out, you're getting every team's best when they come in there.
And that's what I tell the players. I told them that yesterday, actually, Jalen. Well, more than just yesterday, but we talk about it as recent as yesterday. And so I'm telling them, like, you guys are going to get everybody's best shot because of us being McLennan, the name on the front of our jersey. But also with that, you're the number 12 team in the country. And so a lot of teams need this type of win on their schedule, And so just understanding that you guys are about to get everybody's best shot. And so we can't come in here and practice and just be going through the motion and not paying attention to detail and being focused and being locked in. Like, we truly got to come in here and be ready to go to get better, because we know what we are about to get. And like you said, when we travel to all these other different places, and I tell the players sometimes, like, McLennan is a nice place. Oh, man. Like, it is a nice place, from the facilities to the resources, the housing, like just everything that we have to offer. And so we try to be mindful of the type of players that we're bringing in here that understand that this is a great opportunity, and let me take advantage of this opportunity that I have.
No, for sure. And like you said, MCC, they've got target on their back because of how well this school is. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, and just why do people need to come and not only watch this MCC team play, but and future players. There's kids in high school that you guys are going to be talking to. What makes MCC a special place to come to and why should parents be comfortable? Because that's really what it's about. Parents being comfortable letting their kids come to a school like MCC.
MCC is a great place. Hint, I've been here for 11 years. No,
but
it really is a great place. And I know a lot of people talk about, just being a family. And sometimes it could sound so cliche, but it truly is a family. For sure. I mean, you have the athletic director who's from Waco. You have Coach Gill who's from Waco. Yeah. I'm from Waco. And then you want your kids to be surrounded by good people at the end of the day. And I even tell players as we're recruiting them, like I'm looking for talented players, but I'm also looking for good people that have good character, because that goes a long way. In my job, my assistant job, we're trying to surround our players continually with good people, and I think that's huge. And so as far as taking parents taking a chance on bringing your child to McLennan, just understanding and believing that they're going to be surrounded by good people. They're going to be taken care of. They're going to be respected. They're going to be pushed. They're going to be coached hard. They're going to be loved on, and my assistant and I think we're very, we really care about having that relationship with the players beyond basketball. And so we try to be that way. We talk about it. We try to instill that and get them to understand that you want to go and play for somebody that truly care about you. At the end of the day, you want to go and play for a program, for a college that's going to look out for you academically, that's going to give you understand that, you're here for either a year, 2 years, you're going to graduate on time. We're going to put you in the right classes. We're going to put you with the right instructors. Yeah. And kind of with, as far as MCC being a great place, like a lot of the instructors are super supportive of athletics. So sometimes when a player may not be doing as well at class, we'll get instructors reaching out to us via email like, hey, coach, just want you to let you know that such and such is not doing well, or, things like that. And so you can appreciate that and just understand that everybody has their best interests at heart and want to make sure that they not only excel from a basketball standpoint, but in the classroom as well. So
and I think that's so important because these young adults are at an important time in their life when staying focused is important, finding structure in something is important, and falling in love with whether that be the sport or whether that's what you want to do when you're done playing the sport is so important for them to be able to get at this age. So I think you guys do a phenomenal job at that. You talked about it just a little bit and bringing these players in, but what has it been like with having Coach Smith there as your assistant so far? First off, it's important. You talked about leading these kids and how you're able to love on these kids and coach them well. But both of the coaches that they have there can hoop. In case the people don't know, Coach Thomas just got inducted into the Hall of Fame at Prairie View. And Coach Smith was a great player as well in her collegiate career. So they're not coming in getting coached by anybody random.
Right.
Both the coaches can hoop when you come to MCC. So you're going to be getting coached up by some of the best that they have to offer. But what has it been like having Coach Smith there as an assistant, the experience that she brings in and from her collegiate career to now being able to help out and coach these kids?
It's been great. It's been great. I know one thing with bringing Coach Smith on board is, I wanted an assistant coach that I could trust. I think at the end of the day in this business, you want somebody that's going to be loyal, that you can trust, that understands the grind. From day one, I talked about winning. And winning a national championship and doing something at McLennan that's never been done. And when I tell you that Coach Smith is so on board, like everything that I want for this program, Coach Smith wants the same thing. And so we go to work every day, but it doesn't feel like we're working every day. Like we truly, truly enjoy what we do. And then from the standpoint of us playing college basketball, like that's what we tell the players, we tell the recruits, like you're going to play for two people who have been in your shoes, played college basketball, understands the grind from the academic part, the traveling, the time management, and just how to be an athlete, and Coach Smith played at U of H, and so she has a ton of experience of playing. And so when you come here, you're going to be taught the game, you're going to be coached hard. we get out there every now and then and show them that we still got it. You know, sometimes you got to make them a believer. You got to get out there and show them, no, I still got it. I still got it. But maybe like 2 weeks ago, I got out there and showed them a little bit of something. They like, okay, Coach T. I'm like, I try to tell y'all. Yeah. No, but yeah, so I think, you know, that's what you being able to go and play for somebody that's been there, done that, can teach you, can tell you how to do things. I think it goes a long way. And so, the biggest thing is they allow us to coach them. They allow us to get on them. They allow us, we get in the gym with them. You know, we'll tag team. We'll do some individual work. We'll do some one-on-one work. Yeah. Coach Smith and I get with them and watch film of the other team. We'll watch film of themselves. Yeah. Just one-on-one things like that. Just trying to get them better at the end of the day and trying to get them ready for the next level.
No, for sure. And I definitely think that's super important for these kids to be able to get that hands-on experience. Like you said, both of you guys have been there, and you've done what they're trying to do and what they're already doing. Like you said, balancing academics and balancing regular life, and the travel can be a lot, especially in certain times of the year when conference starts and you're trying to balance that plus school plus life. So you guys being there, I think, brings a lot to them. Coach, it takes up so much time of just being able to prepare and be a coach. What are some of the teams that you like to get a chance to be able to watch, whether that's NBA or whether that's college basketball, some of these other teams out there as well, if we're talking about Power 5 basketball or some of these other schools, or whether that be men's college basketball. What are some of the teams that you like to get away and just try to sit down and watch the game whenever you get a chance to?
So, I mean, I'm always watching basketball. Like, that's what my TV stay on at home, in my office. Like, I'm always watching basketball. Okay. But some of my favorite women's basketball team is South Carolina. I'm a huge Don Staley fan. Yeah. And then Texas, right down the road, Vic Schaefer. Like, I'm a huge Vic Schaefer fan, and I love the way that they do things there. And then on the men's side, I've always been a Duke fan. I've always been a Duke fan. And so those are mainly a lot of the teams that I definitely try to catch and watch as far as being a fan. But I'm always watching. Like I was my dad was in town not too long ago, and I'm watching basketball, and he's like, I went and grabbed a paper and pen, and I'm like writing down. So honestly, now when I watch it, I don't even watch it for the enjoyment. You know, I'm watching, trying to learn, trying to steal some plays, trying to see, you know, like, so my way of watching basketball has truly changed. But I definitely, I'm always tuned in and watching some good basketball.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I'm a big fan of Coach Don Staley out there in South Carolina. I think she does a phenomenal job out there, and they're ranked number 1 right now in the nation for a reason. They're coming in, and I like what they're doing at UConn, man, with Paige Beckers out there. I think this kind of be sort of a revenge season for her, because I feel like she felt like she kind of got left out a lot of those conversations last year, and she's already starting off the season playing great. I like getting a chance to watch Juju out at USC as well. She's a baller, so I get a chance to watch a few of them. Now, you said a Duke fan for men's basketball. What's your opinion on, it's young right now, but Cooper Flagg and how he's played, and, you know, he's got a lot of hype coming into this season. Yes. And they're already, you know, mock drafts got him as number 1 pick already before he's even got a chance to come out there and play. But he looks good. He looks good so far, and I got to watch him a little bit in the summer and some of those workouts he had with Team USA. So what's your opinion on the Cooper Flagg thing right now at Duke?
Cooper Flagg is tough. Yeah, like, that tough. Dude is tough. He's already NBA ready, if you ask me. Man, I mean, his size is, oh my gosh. Yeah. And he's a 3-level scorer. He does it all, like, literally. And I see why they are projecting him to be the number 1 overall pick. Like, and I'm so glad he's a Duke Blue Devil.
Now you get to root for him even more now that he's playing out there on your team. No, that's good. And I'm going to try to get a chance to watch him some more as the season goes on. But I'm agreeing, man. I think he's got an NBA game already, even though he's so young. And it showed when he got a chance to do those scrimmages and workouts with Team USA. I mean, he giving league guys buckets already. I'm like,
exactly.
I'm like, yeah, this dude is
like,
tough
college,
already.
They are in trouble.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. If he's doing this to KD and them, y'all in trouble at North Carolina and some of these other schools in the ACC, because Cooper Flagg is definitely coming. So, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on here and just getting to talk with us a little bit going forward. And like you said, you guys got Paris coming in this weekend, and then you'll get a little bit of a break, and you guys will be right back in action next week to kind of close it out before we get this Thanksgiving break / Christmas break that we got coming up, and then just right back to the grind after that, because the conference will be starting after that. So appreciate you taking time out of your schedule
Absolutely.
to come out here and come chop it up with us. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do this some more and
Yes, please.
maybe bring Coach Smith up here as well. She'll get to chop it up with us. And some of the if any of the players wanted to come on here as well, and they can get their start with talking in the media and getting used to doing that. So,
right, that'll be good. That'll be good.
For sure. I would definitely love to be able to do that. But want to say thanks for coming on here and joining us today, Coach. And we're getting ready to close out here today. Want to say thanks to everybody that tuned in with us today. We'll be back tomorrow in action, so make sure you guys getting ready for that. We've got MCC basketball all weekend. Coach Thomas will be and her squad will be playing on Saturday. That game is at 2 o'clock. You'll be able to catch it right here on Centex Sports Network. Coach Gill and the men's team will be in action all week long, Thursday through Saturday, as they're in the tournament out there in Snyder. You'll be able to catch all those games right here on Centex Sports Network. So thanks again for tuning in with us. We will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime.